Once again, Raymond Arroyo.
Welcome back to The World Over Live. It's been 42 years since the landmark Roe v. Wade decision legalized abortion on demand here in the United States. Now, polls show an electorate that is increasingly pro-life, or one that at least favors more restrictions on the procedure. Joining me now is a woman who's been trying to give women a fulsome choice. Her organization cares for women confronted with unplanned pregnancies and for their children. Please welcome the president of Heartbeat International, a network of crisis pregnancy centers across the nation, Peggy Hartshorn. Great to see you again.
Thank you, Raymond. Great to be here.
I want to start with these papal comments that the Pope made on the plane. They have caused a lot of controversy. I'll play them for everybody, and then I'd like your reaction and to hear what you're hearing from women whom I know, some of whom I know have large families. Roll that.
I think the number of 3 children per family that you mentioned is the one experts say is important to keep the population going. When it goes below this, the other extreme happens. The key word is the one the Church always uses all the time, and even I use it. It is responsible parenthood. The example I mentioned shortly before about that woman who was expecting her 8th child and had already had 7 who were born with cesareans. That is an irresponsibility. That woman might say, "No, but I trust in God." But God gives you methods to be responsible. Some think that, excuse me if I use the word, that in order to be good Catholics we have to be like rabbits. No, responsible parenthood.
What do you say to these mothers? I've been getting emails from them all week who say, wait a minute, I'm now an irresponsible parent because I have 7 children, 6 children, 8 children. You'd say what?
It's very difficult to understand that example, I think, and I think that was an unfortunate specific example to use. And to even pick out a specific example and say this is responsible or this is irresponsible, the Church has always discussed responsible parenthood.
Right.
In Humanae Vitae and in theology of the body. I think the 2 key terms that I love in Humanae Vitae are that these decisions have to be prudent, and perhaps the Pope was talking about a prudent decision, and the decision has to be generous, prudent and generous.
And between that couple and God.
Absolutely. And so to take a specific example, when we don't know, was he referring to the fact, maybe thinking the woman is putting her life in danger?
Well, he said that. You're tempting God. You're going to leave 7 orphans, he said. But the challenge, and again, I'm trying to reflect some of the emails I've gotten, and I've gotten hundreds over the last few days. Women keep saying, wait a minute here. There was a real woman that the Pope is pointing out, and I can't imagine being that woman. As the mother of 6 children by cesarean section, I can really sympathize. I feel her pain, and I don't understand this at all. So I think it might have just been, it went a little too far, even though the context was he was clearly reaffirming church teaching on artificial contraception.
And the generosity. And actually, the opportunity, of course, comments like that hit the press, and it got great press, which gives us the opportunity to talk more about the Church's teaching, which he did in the same comments.
Yeah, but we don't need any more of them. Thanks a lot. Let's move on to what we're hearing today, what we saw today here in the streets of Washington. Hundreds of thousands of people, largely young people.
It was a beautiful march.
As part of this March for Life, the weather was glorious for the first time in I don't know how many years. It was pretty dreary in the last few years. Why is this, though, Peggy? And as I drove by and I saw all of these crowds moving, I thought, what we are looking at when compared to the civil rights marches of the 60s, the gay rights movement, this has to be the slowest moving civil rights movement of all time. 42 years with very little to commend it nationally speaking. Big pieces of legislation that sort of the cure-all. It has eluded this movement. Why?
That's a difficult question, and I think there are a couple of things that come to my mind. One is that with abortions skyrocketing in the early years, even after Roe v. Wade, for over 40 years we have had massive numbers of abortions in this country. And that's a great deal of woundedness. And it's not just woundedness for the mothers that have had the abortions, it's the men, it's the siblings of aborted children, it's everyone. We now know that abortion changes almost everyone involved in that abortion, even those who took people to the abortion clinics, those who paid for the abortions. So when there's great woundedness. People have a blockage in even looking at this issue realistically and truthfully, because there's something very personal about it. It's touched them or their families. I think that's one of the issues. I think the other thing is that abortion is really the linchpin of the whole contraceptive mentality. Because if we're promoting contraception, everyone should have a planned pregnancy. You know, the federal government keeps track of planned pregnancies and unplanned pregnancies. It's a major statistic. Major studies have been written about it. So if it's a great taboo to have an unplanned pregnancy and everyone needs to be using contraception, we know that contraceptives fail. And what happens if you've adopted the mentality that the worst thing in the world is to have an unplanned pregnancy? Then you've got to have abortion. So abortion has to be the linchpin. And it's the linchpin for the sexual revolution, which we still are buying into massively.
At the State of the Union earlier this week, you heard the president say it a little earlier, abortions, teen pregnancies are down, he says. Do you agree with that, seeing things from the grassroots level?
It's difficult to know because a lot of those statistics come from the Alan Guttmacher Institute, of course. And I question that because, first of all, California doesn't report any numbers. One of the biggest abortion states does not report numbers. We have the abortifacients, Ella, which the morning after pill may act as an abortifacient. Ella always does. So the numbers of unreported abortions are massive. So I can't say for sure.
You have over 1,000 affiliates across the nation and the world.
Actually, we're close to 2,000 now.
Wow, that large. Tell me, how many men and women do you serve annually, do you estimate? And if you could look back over these many years that you've run this, how many lives do you think you've saved?
Oh, that's such an amazing question. Well, we know that we're saving now about 3,000 babies a week whose mothers came to our centers and are abortion vulnerable. All right, so 3,000 babies a week, I think it's about 156,000 1,000 babies saved a year. Take that over 40 years, pregnancy centers have been around. I think that's millions of babies saved. But you know what, Raymond? It's really amazing to me that when people talk about babies saved in pregnancy centers, we do count babies whose moms came in, were abortion-minded, abortion vulnerable, had an ultrasound, changed their minds. But you know what? We're saving a lot of babies through prevention programs. Because we're teaching sexual integrity. You know, we're saving people from having to make that abortion decision. In post-abortion programs, we are saving babies because people who are healed of abortions don't have additional abortions. And in family building programs, this is something I hope we're going to talk about too. Strengthening families means that there will be fewer abortions in the future.
I want to play one of those families that you've reached out to. This is Victoria Chan Pablo. She's one of your clients. Listen to this.
We were pregnant in the year 2000. Again, I was 15 and my husband was 18 at the time. In a panic, we did not know what to do. We were very young. I was only 15, still in high school. My then boyfriend, now husband, was also very young. He was 18. We were both still in high school. So the day that we found out, we researched pregnancy centers in the area in the hopes of getting some information on what our choices were and what we could do and just any type of information we could have. I'm not going to say that it was not rough having a child at 15. We worked full-time, we went to school full-time, we did it on our own. We lived on our own, we supported our daughter on our own. It was very hard, but you can do it. And because of clinics, because pregnancy clinics, because of counselors like Marsha, that give you their support and encouragement, you can do it. I just want to say that the pregnancy clinic saves lives. It truly saves lives.
Your reaction when you hear that?
Wow. I mean, it was so moving. I heard her give that testimony. It's so moving. And I just thank the Lord for raising up all of these pregnancy centers all over the country, all over the world, people who are saying yes to that call, who are giving of themselves. One of the things Victoria and her husband, actually, Christian, talked about was the pouring out of love from their volunteer at that pregnancy center. Not just during the pregnancy, after the baby was born as well. And you know, when they came to our Babies Go to Congress event yesterday, we had the whole family, the mother, the father, their daughter now that she was talking about in that crisis pregnancy, who is now 14, and their 5-year-old daughter. They were all there together with us. And it was such a beautiful thing to see how the outpouring of love that they received helped them build a family. They saw that example. And the father said, without the pregnancy center, I would not be the father I am today.
Yet your critics say, and I've read this in the New York Post recently, they say you and these other crisis pregnancy centers are deceptive and manipulative toward these women. How would you answer them?
Well, one of the reasons they think we're deceptive is because we tell them the facts about abortion. I wish they were right that we were lying when we had to say that abortion is tremendously damaging to a woman emotionally and physically. There are links between abortion and breast cancer. These are the facts. You know, I wish it were true that we were lying about them, because then women would not be as harmed as they are today. But we are telling the truth. That's the reaction.
It's amazing work. Peggy Hartshorn.
Oh, thank you,
Thank you for coming in.
Great to be with you.
Heartbeat International can be found online at heartbeatinternational.org. And give us the number. There's a number of people are in crisis pregnancies.
Yes, we have optionline.org. Please look at optionline.org. Our 800 number is 1-800-712-HELP. 7 days a week, 12 months of the year, 1-800-712-HELP.
Peggy
Option
Hartshorn.
9.
Thank you for being here.